Everything out of me. They gonna get a Super Bowl out of me. Believe that. Believe that. I'm a Raven. It's on. All year. Every year.
What's up, everybody, and welcome into what is going to be the first of 17 post-game reviews for the Ravens regular season. So we did just finish up on Sunday 1 o'clock game against the Houston Texans. The Ravens did come out with the win, which was expected, but we did come out with the win 25-9. So we're going to jump right into it because if you watch the game, you'll know that there's more than enough that we have to cover in this video. I'm not going to get to all of it. We're going to try to get to most of it. First of all, though, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. No pun intended, but let's start with the injuries. So J.K. Dobbins, done for the season. Not going to harp on it too much. A lot of people are covering it. It is terrible. It's very sad. Really, really sucks, that it happened to him, but we got to move on. The team's going to move on. It's just a really bad situation for him and his family. So, thinking about him, hoping he has a good recovery and can get back out onto the field at some point. But the other three, Marcus Williams, Ronnie Stanley, and Tyler Linderbaum, they all had injuries. They all had to leave the field and did not return. Marcus Williams seems to be the one that has the risk of being lengthier. If it is a pec tear, then it can be, weeks or months. If it's bad enough, technically it can end the season. But I've seen some reports that say that it seems to be mainly swelling. It could just be inflamed or something along those lines. So we're not too sure about that. Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, there's all of them are getting MRIs. So when we have more information about theirs, hopefully we'll be able to know at that point. But both of them have lower body injuries. So I believe an ankle and a knee, but not sure whose is who. So first off, we're gonna get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of this. And the good, to me, felt like the pass rush was there and consistent. I was really worried about that going into the game to see kind of what it looked like with this young group of outside linebackers. But between them and inside linebackers, the D-line, there was consistent pressure on the rookie quarterback. Now, to C.J. Stroud's credit, he did handle the pressure pretty well. Didn't throw a pick. He almost did, but he ended up catching it himself when it was tipped at the line by Roquan Smith. So, anyway, so the bad, stopping the Texans on third down really seemed to be kind of an issue. There were times when the pass rush got there, that was fine, and there was a couple of pass breakups, but it seemed like there was at least one or two series by the Texans where they just kind of kept marching down the field, and we had a bend don't break type of mentality. We held them to 3 field goals. Ravens have not yet allowed a touchdown this season, so woohoo. But yeah, would like to see a little bit more on third down from them, a little bit more consistently, but that's going to tie into the secondary, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So the ugly, penalties and the O-line as a whole. I mean, 13 penalties. I said in the preview, I said that there's going to be penalties in this game by both teams, and the refs they're ready with the laundry. They were certainly ready to call pretty much everything. Hey guys, real quick. If you're enjoying the video so far, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want more, you can head over to my channel and hit that subscribe button while you're there. Also, if you know anyone who is a Ravens fan that might enjoy this video, please share it with them. Alright, let's get back to the video. Alright, so let's go over the Ravens' offensive and defensive game balls. So, the offensive game ball is going to go out to Zay Flowers because he looked fantastic. 9 for 10, 78 yards, 2 carries for 9 yards. And I'm not really sure how they're going to be using Zay in the future. I hope it's not this much. I mean, yeah, I get it. He's an impact player, and you want the ball in his hands. Obviously, with Mark Andrews out and them getting next to absolutely no production from their tight end group, that's another thing. But, I mean, I really did not want to see Zay in the backfield as much as I did. I don't really like that. I want to see him out, catching the ball in space and doing what he was doing when he was at his best. I mean, there was probably 4 or 5 series in a row where it just seemed like he was catching, between 9 and 19 yards per gain. So they looked really good out there. For the Ravens' defensive game ball, Roquan Smith, 16 total tackles, 8 solos, which, the 16 tackles, I didn't even know this till after the game. That's a Ravens franchise record for the first game of a season, which I know the Ravens haven't been around that long, but they've had some pretty good defenses in that time. So that's actually, we were all hyped when we got him, and what can a full offseason do? Well, I think you saw in this first game that he's ready to play. He had 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and 1 pass deflection, which the pass deflection didn't count as a stat technically because it was caught by CJ Stroud, but yeah, he definitely deflected that pass, and then if it had gone anywhere other than straight up, that was looking like it could have been a pick or at least an incomplete pass. But some honorable mentions here. Justice Hill, he had 8 carries for only 9 yards, but he had 2 touchdowns. Odell Beckham, not even just the 2 catches, but also the 2 defensive pass interference calls. Those were big. Those were, very helpful in keeping those drives alive. And also just proof that you can't just stick anybody on Odell Beckham. I think that was a little bit of a shout out to the rest of the league saying, like, hey, I might not be what I used to be, but I'm still dangerous. Matabike, Ojabo, Queen, Washington. A lot of the players on defense were all over the place making plays. Matabike had a dumb penalty. Ojabo, in his 3rd game, has his 2nd strip of the ball. So, yeah, love to see that. Love an expanded role for him. And Patrick Queen, he was... If Roquan Smith wasn't out there, Patrick Queen was going to get my defensive game ball because he was everywhere. He also had a sack on an excellent blitz. He just came and just took him down immediately. Was no question about it. Yeah, just excellent play by him. All right, so next up, we are actually going to get into the play of the games. So I've got the play of the game for the offense and the defense. We're going to talk about both sides. So the play of the game for the offense here is OBJ's 29-yard catch down the sideline on a 3rd and 6. There was 7:33 left in the game. And I won't say it was a dagger because the game was pretty much over at that point, but it really was like the final exclamation point on the victory because at that point there was really nothing that the Texans could do offensively to get it going. There was nothing they could do. So next up with the play of the game for the defense, Roquan Smith's sack on the untimed down at the end of the 3rd into the 4th quarter. They held the Texans to a field goal, so that was excellent. Again, overall, amazing play by Roquan Smith. So glad to have him out there. Definitely worth a 2nd-round pick. All right, Ravens offensive leaders. This is sort of a formality, I guess, but it does bring up an interesting point for me. So Lamar, obviously, 17 for 22, 169 yards, no touchdowns. The dumb interception, which stat line looks great for the start of the season. He had 6 rushing attempts, 38 yards, which he was also our rushing leader. That's why you see his name twice. This is meant to be the passing leader, the rushing leader, and the receptions leader. Now, if Lamar's name is on all 3 of these, we have a problem. But, as far as rushing the ball, it seemed like it was a lot of the committee stuff. It seemed like it was a lot of, I don't want to say Greg Roman-esque, but it really kind of felt like they didn't have a groove. Now, obviously, Dobbins going down played a huge factor on that because it wasn't going to be that everybody had 8 carries, which is exactly how it seemed. It was more so, it just felt like it was a committee without them even really trying to make it a committee, right? Jackson had 6, Edwards had 8, Dobbins had 8, Hill had 8, Flowers had 2. I don't know. We'll see going forward. I think Edwards is going to get an expanded role. I think he'll take on the bulk of the carries, even though Justice Hill will still be used. I think more of it is going to be on Edwards' shoulders. So, didn't really see a lot of the tight ends. Obviously, with Andrews out, they can't use him, but I thought they would have used likely a little bit more. I don't know if it was a scheming thing. I don't know what they were doing. They really didn't seem to have too much of an identity, and it seemed like, as I note here, the rushing attack looked really unbalanced. I don't know, it just didn't really seem like they knew what they were doing. A lot of that also has to do with the offensive line not really having any time to gel, right? So it's kind of difficult to have your blocks, to know what the guy is going to do next to you if you have not played at all together, really. And I'm just going to run through the names of guys real quick. Kevin Zeitler, Morgan Moses, Lamar Jackson, Odell Beckham, Tyler Linderbaum, Ronnie Stanley, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad Bateman. These are all guys that played not a single down during the preseason. But, yeah, I mean, Patrick Green, Roquan Smith, Kyle Hamilton, none of these guys were out there during preseason. So having a little rust on the offensive side of the ball when you haven't played together in a real game-like scenario, and it's a new playbook, new offensive coordinator, new weapons, you're going to see some of these. So I'm not too worried about how they looked in the first game. Now, going into next week against Cincinnati, I'm not really on board with everyone's overreaction to the score against Cleveland. Cleveland has had Cincinnati's number for the last few years. And while I think our defense being ahead of the offense is a very big bonus for us, especially going into Cincinnati to start, as opposed to having another home game, I think that's going to be, to our benefit for sure. But we'll get to that during the game preview for the upcoming week. Anyway, so these are just my quick thoughts. Like I said, I'm sure there's stuff that I missed. I'm sure there's stuff that, you guys want to talk about. So feel free to mention that in the comments below. If you like the rundown, give it a like. Otherwise, good win. We'll take it, right? We're in the top half of the AFC. And, Steelers and Bengals both got slapped. So that's always nice to see. All right, guys, that's going to be it for me. I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks. Bye.